Okay, so today we are going to be talking about soft slab construction, and specifically right now we are talking about draping. So draping is when you take a form that already exists. It's something that's like plastic or metal or hard or whatever, not clay basically, and you drape the clay over top of that form to help mimic that shape. So you can do it a couple different ways. You can do it like the way I'm gonna do, which is like literally it's gonna mimic this bowl shape. You can also do it a little bit more free form. So I could drape it over this and let the clay almost look like more like fabric. You can do it both ways. There's examples of both ways in Schoology. So if you want to see what the free form looks like versus what I'm gonna do, there's an example of it in Schoology and I'll point that out to you after the demo. So what I have here is I'm starting with a slab. You don't want your slab to be ridiculously thick, but you don't want it to be ridiculously thin either. So if it's too thin, when you drape it over the piece, it'll just rip. But if it's too thick, you're gonna have a tough time draping it over the piece. So again, this slab is about the thickness of my pinky finger. And that's just a general good consistency usually for slabs. So this is the bowl that I'm gonna use as my draping bowl. And you can use plastic wrap, like the kind you have from the kitchen, which is actually, I'm gonna say recommended over a plastic bag because it doesn't leave as many wrinkles. However, I realize that people may not have that and there's more likely a chance that you have a plastic bag. So I'll do it with a plastic bag so you can see. So I'm gonna take the bowl and I'm gonna put it inside this plastic bag. And then I'm gonna wrap the plastic bag as tight as I can around the bowl. And you wanna try to get out as many wrinkles as you can. The more wrinkles that there are like in the plastic, you'll see those wrinkles in your clay. It can even be helpful if you have tape, which I thought I had. If you have tape to, oh, here it is. To use the tape to tighten up that plastic bag so it is on there nice and tight. Because nothing worse than doing a really nice drape bowl but getting a bunch of wrinkles, texture that you don't like. Sorry, Mike. Yes?
So you're using like a glass bowl?
I'm using, yeah, like a regular ceramic bowl, but you can use, I mean, you can use whatever you have available. If you have like plastic like picnic bowl that you can use, go ahead and use that. It doesn't have to be like a ceramic bowl, but I'm using this one and then I'll just wash it afterwards, right?
Right. On it.
Yeah, no matter what type of bowl it is, you have to cover it in plastic, no matter what it is. So like even this one that is plastic, I would still cover this. And you'll see why when you remove this, when I remove it, the plastic bag makes the removal easier.
I just put tape on it, I guess.
Yeah, you can use a regular grocery bag.
Like put tape on it.
Why don't you watch the demo and then I can walk you through it, okay?
Yeah.
So you just pause what you're doing and just watch, Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Okay, so I've got my bowl, my plastic bag is securely on here, so now my clay won't stick. And now I have to cut my slab, because right now my slab is like this long rectangular shape, which is it's just not the right shape to create a bowl shape, right? I need more of like a circular shape, more of one that's not so long, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the bowl that I'm using and I'm gonna put it on top of the slab, and you can either trace that bowl itself, which will give you the bowl will end up being smaller than the original bowl, or you can kind of just trace around the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm about an inch away from the edge of the bowl, and I'm just going to trace a circle best I can, drawing a circle. I mean, I know we're people, so like we're not perfect. I can't hear you, Ethan.
So like what?
Right now you're just watching the demo. You're not doing anything right now.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I just traced around that bowl so that now I can take my slab away and I have kind of this circular slab left over, right? So now I'm gonna take my bowl. Bowl's gonna go flat onto the table, and that slab I just cut is going to go, I'm gonna do my best to hit that middle point, and very simply, I'm gonna let it drape over the side of the bowl. And what I'm doing with my hands now is like I'm kind of pinching it down so that that clay starts to take the shape. Now what will happen is, and you'll see it as I flip around here, what will happen is, as I'm pressing this clay down, I'm gonna have excess. So right here, where it's starting to like tent up, I'm gonna have excess. Excess is the word I was trying to say. So I'm pinching that little tent here. I'm gonna pinch that together all the way down. So it's really pinched together there. And then you can take your cutting tool, whatever you happen to be using. I don't see my knife. So I'm just gonna use my needle tool. So you would use your plastic knife, but I'm gonna use this needle tool because I don't see my plastic knife. Oh, here it is. And you can just cut that piece right off. Doop, just like that. And then using your fork to score that seam, you're gonna close that seam right up. Now, if you choose to do the more freeform option where it doesn't mimic the bowl exactly, you probably don't have to do this step. This step is only for you if you decide to do the version where it mimics the shape of the exact bowl or the exact form, right? Now I have all those score marks. I can, like I've done in the past, my spoon is dirty, hold on. Use your spoon and smooth out those score marks. What's really nice about building this way is now this is just gonna sit here. I'm done like my part of this. The clay is just gonna sit on the bowl and stiffen up a little bit. And then once it's stiff, all I have to do is flip it over and take the bowl out. So it's really, like, compared to coil building, it's less labor intensive for sure. However, like we talked about, it's not as strong. So if I built something out of coils that was this tall, it would be strong. But this guy is nice and big, worked really fast, happened really quickly, but isn't gonna be as strong. So there's times when this is good and there's times when coil building is good. If you have time, you can also add texture to the outside of this while it is actually still on here. So say I wanted to add a pattern, an impression pattern, I can impress right into the clay while it's on that bowl, and it is going to maintain that shape really nicely. I can add whatever pattern I'd like without losing the shape, which is really, really nice, especially since we're working with wet clay, right? Yeah, so for the drape bowl, now I would let this sit. I would let it sit for kind of an undetermined amount of time. I made a drape bowl yesterday, and it had to sit for probably like 2 hours before it was ready to flip. So that it isn't like a quick, I can't flip it right now. If I flip it right now, it'll completely lose its shape. So this one is just gonna sit off to the side for like an hour or two, and then I'm gonna come back to it and be able to flip it off of the piece. And that's what I'm going to send out the reminder for later today. I will record myself flipping mine off and then send that video out to you guys to remind you to flip yours off as well. What questions do you have